All right, so we're going to show how to link up Quipt with IQ Reseller. Moving your inventory into a system like Quipt can help you publish your listings to e-com channels as well as wholesale marketplaces, get your product moving in Q4 and into 2026. To start in IQ, we'll grab an API user token, grab this key, and we'll be putting this over into Quipt. So move you over here. In Quipt, you're looking at applications. Once you're in applications, find the IQ Reseller vendor connector where you'll hit edit and enter your key in here. Once that's done, your inventory will start to populate. It takes about an hour or so to populate all your inventory into Quipt, and then you're ready to start building out your catalog. Catalog in Quipt is very simple. We have a shared centralized catalog where you can find completed catalog records and match your SKU to Quipt's content. What that looks like, I'll show. So I found a iPhone 13 Pro Max listing that's a really standout catalog record for us. In Quipt, we deal with a lot of consumer electronics, networking, laptops, desktops, a lot of things that can be supported with new, refurb, used, all the various conditions that you may need to publish. So I found this. It's a new condition of an iPhone 13 Pro Max. Would be very good for this demo. I click into the SKU coming over from IQ Reseller, and we're going to find a category or a similar product, maybe an exact match within Quipt's system. We search some keywords here, and we find some already completed.
Dylan, let me ask you a question right here. So yeah, you could essentially have your master items with an IQ Reseller set to a particular. What you're saying though is that your system has the ability to scrub the that you're grabbing from IQ Reseller and say, hey, there's one already like this, recommend you using this, and all that customer has to do is be able to then go and update it. Just almost like when you go to a checkout to a website now and you put in your address, it says, hey, close, but we found this matching record. Do you want to use ours because you may be forgetting the 4 digits of the postal code at the end? Are you saying it works similar just like that?
Yeah, very similar. There's indicators. So if I take a step back, you can see that we put in your IQ Reseller. I'll make this a little bit bigger. The SKU that comes over from IQ has the condition code as well as the master item. So it's combined, where it's a master item, pipe new. If you had various conditions of this master item, they'd come through separately. But that should be your indicator of, instead of having to go through and build an iPhone 13 Pro Max, you can, like you mentioned, use a suggestion, use something in Quipt instead of having to go through all of that work building it out yourself. We already have something that may be sufficient, if not better than what you may be able to build yourself. And so that's what that is. Just by using a quick keyword search, you can come up with the various suggestions that Quipt thinks we already have built out for you, that you can link your product information to.
Awesome.
So with the keyword search, again, this is a new condition, so we have all the support for various conditions. Product, iPhones, cell phones category is something that's very well built out within the Quipt category or catalog. And so I see this condition new here, and I want to click view. You could go ahead and hit sell this if you're confident that this is an exact match right off the bat. But what I like to do is just the attribution, the images, and make sure that the content that you're going to now match to links to what you're actually selling, what this SKU truly is in IQ Reseller. And what this all is going to come back to is having good data to where what you're selling, what the order comes in through is a match, so you don't have any customer inquiries, you limit the amount of customer service, you have to do returns, all of that. So making sure this process is done accurately, take your time, but finding that exact data that matches what you're selling is a very key in this whole process, especially when going to direct to consumer.
Yeah, let me stop you right there on good data. You brought a really, really good point about good data. Good data doesn't just start here now physically at the sales side also. It actually starts at the point of acquiring the product, whether you're acquiring it from some type of a vendor, whether you're an ITAD, which essentially would be your customer, or from somebody that you're purchasing off-lease product from, is you want good data from the start. Exactly what Dylan just said is you want the best possible data because you don't want those RMAs, you don't want those pesky returns. That's always the one downside when you're dealing on a B2C or business to consumer level, is is consumers want the exact specs with it. So it starts also at the operational side. That's why it's very important to also be able to automate and use as many data diagnostic tools out there to get you the best accurate data and description to describe exactly what that item is, and not just use best guess, because that's when the headaches of the RMA process. Nobody likes to deal with the RMA process at the consumer level either. It's not going to work at like how it works on the wholesale level is products got to come back. You're going to lose money on shipping. You're going to lose money on touch points. You're going to lose money because you got to send it back here too. It's just a negative effect. Also, you may get bad ratings online. So you really want to start on good data from your operational side and kind of be able to eliminate the human factor as much as possible, which is what Quipt here will be showing you to do. But you also want good data from the operational side and the discovery side of the product as well too, which can really streamline. Not only will this streamline it, but it'll just be one step faster to streamline the whole process.
Great points. Yeah, you take your time making sure everything's clean up front, makes the whole process way easier downstream, save you a lot of time and a lot of money, especially after you make that sale. All right, so now that we've indicated that this is an exact match, if you ever needed to make changes, by the way, these checkboxes are there for a reason. Say, we didn't have an exact match within the catalog, maybe the storage size, which is a common, difference between iPhones. Say we didn't have a 256 gig and you wanted that. I know we're setting up a 128 gig, but just by checking what's different, you can see that this goes from sell this to clone this. And now you can create a variant, which is a unique catalog record. You're adding to the Quipt catalog. You're adding to your catalog, which you can publish. But you're not having to adopt, everything. But everything will carry over except what you checkbox. And so now you can create a 256 gig version because all the attributes like the camera, the resolution, none of that changes between a 256 gig phone and a 128 gig phone. But now you can just change those subtle attributes. And so I will go and make sure that these don't get updated because we want an exact match, not to create any duplicates, which is very important to keep our catalog clean. But we're doing an exact match, sell this. Now what this will do is automatically fill out all of the data points except for maybe a select few that may be unique to you, such as the type of packaging that you'll ship this in, because this is new. It's typically going to be a retail package, and then the what's included. And so what this will be is just a iPhone 13 Pro Max, 128 gigabyte, and then maybe the charging cable. Sometimes the cable is not there, but sometimes there is. This will have your location. Maybe you want to add a warranty. Maybe you don't. And we can just move on. All the product details, which is the attribution, unless we've added some, and it looks like we may have added a couple attributes for some channels. Sneak peek into what we've added here shortly on announcement that I'll go through a little later. Luckily, I know.
Now, are these requirements from each individual marketplace? Like all marketplaces kind of have different requirements, but are you going to be forcing to be able to have the exact requirements to make sure that the companies selling are in good standing order with that particular online shop?
Exactly. And so Quipt, we compile a total number of attributes that are required for every marketplace that we support. So that's where our catalog really comes in handy, especially if you can find exact match. Say all of these are already filled out, you don't have to enter anything in. They're already there for you, and they'll be supported wherever you want to sell it. Even a year from now, if you wanted to add another channel, you have a centralized catalog to where you can turn on that channel and turn on your entire catalog within a click of a button because it's already centralized in Quipt.
Right. Just one step a user has to think of.
One less step, and it saves you a lot of time where you not have to build out the catalog, from scratch as soon as you start over. So, say you wanted to add a second eBay store, which is a very common thing, or I'll kind of get into the new marketplaces that we just added. Shein and TikTok Shop and Temu are these kind of up and coming marketplaces and channels in the industry. If you were to manually connect to those or build that out manually, you'd start, say you have a 100 SKU catalog, you're building those 100 SKUs over and over again, and so this helps you exponentially when you try to new revenue streams and new channels. So you see all of the attribution, everything already filled out, and we simply just hit save. And then what will happen is we open up pricing. And you can activate price the SKUs right away, or you can wait, skip that, and then activate them all in bulk. What this is doing is it's linking this IQ reseller SKU. Like we mentioned, this is your master item. This is your condition code, and it's coming from that warehouse that we just had here, which I think is just a dummy address for the demo. But you can load in, your warehouses, your quantity. This is live syncing with IQ Reseller. And so as you sell the item, that order is going to go into IQR, get allocated, and then the true quantity is going to constantly keep Quipt in sync, which is then also going to constantly keep your marketplaces in sync as well. So automated quantity changes, automated pricing, a couple touch points that you want to eliminate, save you guys as much time and make sure that you're operating with as much efficiency, especially when you're going on multiple platforms. And so this account is connected to e-com channels like Amazon, Back Market, Walmart, upcoming channels like Shein and TikTok, which are supported today. And then there's also a wholesale marketplace of HubX. So you can have kind of the both sides of the equation of e-com and wholesale, all built in within the Quipt system. If you ever do outside of the system sales, just mark that in IQ Reseller, make sure that inventory is allocated, and then those changes will reflect in Quipt, and then knock down those quantities on your marketplace, so everything is synced up.
Not to interrupt. So that's why it's always important to have a source of truth. While IQ Reseller and Quipt are great add-ons and a great relationship between each other, is if you are doing both wholesale and you're in ecom, because prior to this, actually, me and Dillon were just kind of talking about how we see as kind of the early part of the year, you see a lot of wholesale interest, and then in the latter part of the year, you start to see more of the e-com business start to take off, because of course you have that holiday rush in that holiday season with shopping, as well as the Prime deals that kind of start to take off with it as well too. So it's almost essential for companies to always think of having that source of truth, such as IQ Reseller, especially with this real-time update that Quipt has to offer as you're selling that product. Maybe you build up relationships and you got the bank down the street, or the dog care facility that needs 4 or 5 different iPhones for their employees as well too, as you're going to go sell it to them, and they're not going to go to one of your online marketplaces. That updates immediately, so it takes out the disadvantage of maybe overselling or having more items listed, and then you have to go source that product and stumble, or you can't supply it and you got to cancel the order, which then just kind of hurts your ratings on those marketplaces as well. So it's always great to make sure that you have that kind of cloud in the middle of IQ Reseller that is your source of truth, and all of your orders are being imported in there as those sales, so you don't oversell product as well too, which is definitely key.
Absolutely. Yeah, throughout the year, you definitely get a good balance of being able to support both wholesale and e-com. Direct to consumer, obviously, we're coming up on Q4 as of tomorrow, and it's the biggest holiday surge of every year, which is why we see a direct to consumer opportunity. Prices are going up because the demand's there, and so you want to be able to support both. And to kind of piggyback off of John's point, is having a source of truth, having a solution in place like IQ really helps you manage both of those legs of your business year round.
Yep.
And so back to this, we have different ways that you can price. Recovery is your estimated payout from each sale. SRP is going to be what the customer sees, and so if you standardize based off of here, these boxes up top will apply all the way down vertically. So if I wanted a $500 SRP, you can have the sales price go all the way through, and you can see it looks like some of these don't have the fees built in, but you'd implement the commission rate that Amazon would charge here, and then you get a calculation between your recoveries and SRPs. Like I said, right when you're building out the product, you can activate these. If you want to link it to a specific ASIN, you can put in the ASIN here, and Quipt will then point it to whatever ASIN you want this item to be for sale on. Apple, particularly, if you're an Apple seller, you know how difficult it is to sell Apple on Amazon, let alone create listings for Amazon on Apple. So being able to link to pre-existing listings that you can just add to is a real bonus. But as you can see, we can kind of go through back market, Walmart, and we can link to existing listings. With some of these, like back market and Walmart, you may have the ability to actually create the listings for you, so it's not necessarily that you have to have something here, but we do give you the option. So activating all of these is very, very simple. And then you'll also notice this column here on the far right is buy box. Because these aren't linked yet, you'll see dashes, but we are actively monitoring current buy box. We bring that value in once a day. And so it is from an API endpoint, so it is not from a web scraper. It is true, accurate data. And so you'll be able to every day compare what your price is to what the buy box is. Buy box is, what the actual like add to cart button looks like on the listing. And if you don't have that buy box, you're not going to get that sale if somebody hits add to cart. And so it's very important that you have the buy box, especially with direct to consumer. And so we'll try to give you that visibility to where if you're not winning buy box, what is the buy box? Meaning what is the number that you're off by? And you can go, chase buy box. We also have the ability where you can use the channels repricer tools that they have to offer, and you can try to get as competitive as possible, especially within this this Q4 holiday surge, that we're about to expect here in the next few months.
Yeah. So, question for you: new company, just trying to get started into the e-com world. I mean, there's so many different marketplaces out there. There's so much to do. I mean, you're really kind of taking the difficulties out of this and making and kind of simplifying it for those first-time companies trying to get to the e-com market. What would be your recommendations of stores that they should automatically want to go number one with? I mean, I'm sure you don't want to list on every store all at once. You want to probably do a little bit gradual out there. But what are those heavy hitters that are like an absolute must that they should absolutely be trying to go after and get those sales?
Within the first few weeks of you going live, you should be on Amazon, Walmart, Back Market, and eBay. If you're a refurb electronics seller, those four are an absolute must. Channels like Back Market and Amazon may take you those few weeks to onboard, get through some of the paperwork, make sure your account gets activated. But Walmart and eBay would be the first ones I'd go after because you can set those stores up sometimes even same day. But like I said, back into if you're a month in and you're not on those four stores, you're falling behind. And then you can start getting into additional marketplaces, promotional marketplaces, and Quipt, we have an entire kind of options where you can have up to 20 different sales channels and really diversify where you can put those marketplaces. You just want to make sure you're doing or those listings, but you want to make sure you're doing it at a slow enough pace where you can keep up with order volume, you're maintaining metrics, and you're doing it all in a very healthy way. But to answer your question directly, those four.
Yeah. To kind of chime in on that point, don't think you need to just go into all because Quipt, I think, offers it into like 20, 30 marketplaces. Now you guys are in a ton. I forget the exact true number, but every time we speak, Dillon, it's always there's a new one out there.
Yes.
Like TikTok, I think there's a lot of value and there's a lot of potential within the TikTok shop, but I don't think it's the first one that you go off and do. Though I think it's one of those promotional ones that you kind of go out there. Don't just think to list everything out there and then not have everything ready. Do a slow, gradual, do a crawl, walk, run method with this, and use the tools that Quipt have to offer to do this smartly as well too. So couldn't agree more with that too. Do the crawl, walk, run method, and then just slowly branch out as well too.
Yeah. The ones people typically add to after those four is a Best Buy, a Newegg, adding your own direct-to-consumer store like a Shopify. And you, like you said, you can crawl into, okay, I'm ready for the next bit of volume. I'm ready for the next bit of exposure. My marketplaces are doing well. I'm kind of maximizing what I can do as far as my total publication. And those are indicators where, you're ready to expand.
Right.
Perfect. This will once I hit save here, this is going to begin the listing process. It's going to start pushing out our content files to the marketplaces. I don't have an ASIN or a Walmart ID in this right here. So if I were to actually want these to go to live listings, I would add an ASIN, maybe add a Walmart ID, and then click save here. our sync frequencies on building listings is different for every marketplace. You could have listings up, on a channel like eBay within about 30 minutes. If you're working on Amazon, it could be up within about an hour. And if we're talking about back market, just because they go through a kind of an approval process, it could be a day. So it takes a little bit of time, depending on which marketplace you want these items to go to. But as far as your work in Quipt, this is I've shown you, you can get a product up from IQ Reseller into Quipt and completed, ready for publication within about 1 to 2 minutes, instead of having to fill out every attribute. Obviously, if we don't have it within the catalog, you can't find it with these keyword searches. You may have to fill those out, but the goal is to have a catalog record where you can at least make a clone of, meaning make a variant, and then have that time really be exponentially cut for your overall publication.
Very nice.
So after the listings are created, we'll talk about it briefly. Orders are then syndicated back to IQ Reseller. And so IQ Reseller then takes that PO. We have automated rules in place where we can either allocate that inventory for you and have you basically tell you what unit to go pull, especially if you have like serialized inventory. A lot of people don't like that. So you go pull what serial number is top of your shelf. You can tell IQ Reseller which one you pulled, and then what that does is then it closes the order out here in Quipt. That's really important to not only keep IQ Reseller in place. That's helpful for accounting purposes, but really also for inventory allocation and making sure everything is in order and that you're not overselling. And then keeping that syndication between the two systems is very, very important. I could probably name off 10 different reasons of why that's very important, but you will have some action items in both systems to make sure that those orders are closed properly. Once they're shipped, Quipt take care of the ship confirmation, so no like manual tracking information entry on the channel side, as long as that's marked closed and marked as shipped in Quipt, and you'll be all taken care of.
Yeah, it's definitely very, very important to follow the standardized sales process within IQ Reseller. As items automatically get added to the sales order, it gets reserved at that point too. Highly don't recommend selling based on a serial number. Some companies may want to do that out there. The only situations I would say is that you want to dictate the warehouse to go pull what serial numbers is when you need to go kind of cherry pick for a particular customer at that point. But when it comes to e-com, is let the warehouse dictate to what item is being there, do the scan to serial number or scan to inventory ID function within IQ Reseller, and then have the warehouse dictate that what item they exactly pulled to help speed up the processing. And then go through and make sure that you are still invoicing out those sales orders in IQ to complete it, and make sure that your inventory is accurate as well too. With this particular integration, it helps speeds up the sale process, the time to sale, to help increase cash flow as well too. So it's just another one of those tools to where you don't have to have somebody there keying in all these orders. It's automatically pushing all of that in real time and speeding up the entire sale process, eliminating a human error that could happen as well too, as this is all being pushed through with it. So it's really only providing more and more value for those businesses out there that want to get into this market, that say, hey, this could be too much work. This really takes a lot of the upfront work and the excess work out, and just really speeding it up. Let technology do the work for you, and then reap the rewards on the back end.
Well said. Well said. Well, yeah, that's all we had to share for today. Did you have anything that you wanted to add before wrapping it up?
No, that's it. Dillon, I appreciate the time to show not only me this, but all of our users this as well too. It's always great to see what Quipt has to offer.
Absolutely. I'll throw this in. We're doing a launch freeze starting at the middle of November. And so if you have, we're going to put this video out. If you have any interest, feel free to reach out to me directly. Name's Dillon Guin. I'm sure you can find my email out there somewhere, or feel free to reach out on LinkedIn. Happy to get you guys in before our launch freeze. If you have any questions or are interested, feel free to reach out to John, reach out to me, and we're looking forward to working with you in Q4 or into 2026.
Awesome. Thanks so much.